What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this, I want to talk about what's going on with Tesla's stock, what's going on with Tesla's earnings report that just came out, what Elon Musk said during the call, and how their overall earnings were looking, and how this could affect Tesla's share price going into tomorrow. I'm also going to very briefly talk about SPY and the QQQ, but try to keep that very, very quick. Now, before I say anything about all this information, let me just say a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Now, the offer ends in just about 13 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla and the market. So, first and foremost, Tesla had their earnings that came out, and Tesla missed on EPS and revenue. They only did about 66 cents a share when it comes to their EPS, and unfortunately, the expectation was at least 73 cents according to like CNBC. Earnings Whisper was saying 76 cents. Either way, Tesla missed on EPS. Revenue was about 23.35 billion. That is lower than what Wall Street was expecting, lower than Earnings Whisper and many other sources. So it looks like we missed on EPS and revenue. Not the best of things for Tesla. And then we had basically the share price reacting. Now, initially, the share price ended up actually pumping. It was kind of green because there was news coming out that Tesla was talking about the Cybertruck coming out for this year officially, and the event happening near the end of November. So, great news for Tesla when it came to that, at least initially. But then Elon Musk started speaking and saying some things which were quite bearish, at least for the short term. Long term, very, very bullish, of course, but most of what Musk said was a little bit more bearish. So I'm going to talk about Musk in just a couple of minutes. Let me just mention that we have some very important insights coming out from the quarterly update. Profitability had a 7.6% operating margins in Q3, a slight decline relative to before. And you can see their cost of goods, however, have decreased quite a bit to about 37,500 per vehicle in Q3. So that is some good news that came out because their costs are starting to go down as they're working to reduce them. We're starting to see improvements in the casting system and production mechanisms, which are bringing the prices down. This is something that Kathy Wood also talked about. Now, lastly, with the combined gross profit generation of over 0.5 billion in Q3, their energy generation storage business is once again continuing to have very, very good contributions to their profitability, which is good news for them. Operating cash flow was about 3.3 billion. I'm going to try to zoom into this just a little bit. Free cash flow is about 0.8 billion in Q3, and that's another decline. $3 billion increase in their cash and investments for Q over Q to about 26 billion. And we also saw about more improvements being made to energy storage. So for the financial sector, I'm just going to be really quick, guys. I'm going to try not to take too much time. And if you guys want, you could just skip until I start talking about the chart after this. If you want, you could just do that. But for now, I'm just going to continue to talk about this. So their total revenue is about 19 billion in total. This was the total automobile revenue, which is actually a decline compared to Q2. It's also less than Q1, so it is a slight decline that happened year over year. They're up about 5%, which is very slight for Tesla standards. Same thing could be said about total revenue. This is actually very close to what we saw in Q1. So operating expenses also ended up going up. This is something that we expected as we're starting to see production increases and things like that. Looking at their net cash provided by the operating activities, 3.3 billion. Once again, that's a little bit hotter than what we saw from before. Revenue, we actually saw about 9% increase for Q3. It was impacted by their growth, reduction in average selling prices, and this helped them to some extent. Profitability was reduced due to pricing and mix and other factors. We also saw an increase in operating expenses for the Cybertruck and things like that. For cash, we actually saw a slight increase by about 3 billion to about 26.1 billion in Q3. And we actually saw free cash flow at 0.8 billion. We have their production numbers right here, which is a slight decline compared to the previous quarter. We did talk about this earlier. And besides that, we're actually seeing the capacity still increasing in Shanghai, especially, which is just a sort of powerhouse. Looking at other things, their margins are still not looking the best. It's not what Wall Street was expecting. Things could get worse, as Elon Musk talked about, which I will talk about in just a couple of minutes. Going forward, we can see right over here, the starting prices are declining for the Teslas, which is trying to bring up demand as we saw demand slow down. thanks to higher interest rates and these environments. And we have some very, very beautiful looking pictures. You can see the 1 millionth Model Y produced at Giga Shanghai. And we have more metrics coming out for deliveries. You guys could look at this later on. So I'm just going to try to be quick here. This is pretty much it. I also have more screenshots you guys could be taking for the statement of operations if you want for more details. Their gross profits did decline just a little bit. You guys can see that less profitability. Revenue is also down a bit from the previous quarter. It's very close to what we saw in Q1. It's also not too far from like Q3 of 2022. Income from operations a little bit of a decline, and the balance sheets are right here. You guys could just look at this on your own, but that's pretty much it for the time being. Some declines here and there. This is something that Wall Street was expecting, but there were some things that Musk said which were very, very important. All right, anyways, I'm going to go back to the top for now. Now let's talk about Elon Musk. What did Elon Musk say? Elon Musk ended up saying a lot of things that were bullish for Tesla's long term, but more things that were bearish for the short term. I'm just going to list a couple of them. So basically, Elon Musk was talking about how the Cybertruck has a lot of challenges for volume production. He said that it's going to make a lot of differences moving forward, but it's going to take them a while to get cash flow positive. He said it may take 12 to 18 months for volume production. For positive cash flow, it should take them at least 18 months. Could take up to 30 months. Is that what he implied? So he was basically telling the team to not become too excited about the Cybertruck as an investment that's going to lead to like massive assets and more growth for Tesla. He meant that it's good for the long term. He's excited. He loves the product, but it's expensive, and this is completely normal. And it's going to take them a long time to get to profitability. So he made that very clear. This was once again, this ended up like hurting some of the hype that came out about the Cybertruck coming out this year. Musk is saying that it's going to be a liability for the time being, but it's going to take them a while to just start like, trying to increase its production because they have to basically invent the system to help produce it in a mass scale and things like that. Cost of vehicles decreased to about 37,500. Excuse me, sorry guys. The energy business is leading the way, which is good news. People asked him about how many Cybertruck deliveries could there be in 2024. Musk said that they may not reach the rate to produce 250,000 per year until 2025, and he gave no answer when asked the other questions. He said he was not sure about the short term. Basically, the battery cell production for the 4680 cell has increased 40%. Volume is improving, but the Cybertruck needs more cells as they're in phase 2 of their current phase. Now, Musk also said some things which are very promising, such as the FSD developments. He said that Boston Dynamics, which is another company that produces robots, they are impressive when it comes to their mobility, but they don't really have a brain. That's how Musk really described it. And then Musk started saying things which weren't really the best. So he said that Tesla is basically committed to building the Giga Mexico, but he said that for the short term, looking at the current interest rate environment, they may have to just delay it. They may have to just focus on the landscaping that and take their time on like the infrastructure and things like that first. Take their time with it and then wait for rates to eventually cool off a bit until the Fed begins to pivot. Then he started to go on rants about how this high interest rate environment is hurting Tesla. He said that as time goes on, the high interest rate environment is just going to lead to more costs for consumers. It's going to make it more expensive for them. And this is going to lead to more costs for Tesla in a way. So Tesla could have to resort to cutting prices again. He mentioned that Tesla is on track to meeting their 1.8 million delivery target for the end of the year, but he implied there could be more price cuts and things like that. Also, price cuts for the FSD. He was talking about how they may have to delay the production of the Gigafactory in Mexico now. He was talking about how consumers are struggling. Credit card debt is very high. And he just went on a rant about 2009, the struggle Tesla was in. And he mentioned that hard times could still be coming for the company, but the long term is still very bright. So he basically just went on a rant over and over again about how the current interest rate environment is hurting the automobile industry. It's making their margins, slimmer. It's hurting Tesla as time goes on, and they just have to deal with it for the time being. But for the long term, he mentioned that Tesla will be even more profitable, and Tesla has the potential to become one of the most profitable companies on the planet and also the biggest company in the world. So he mentioned that AI is also going to be a big game changer for Tesla. He's very, very bullish on it, very excited with the Optimus robot. And he said that over the next few years, we could start seeing the robots like doing ballet and things like that, which is pretty cool. But honestly, guys, here's my view. He said great things for the long term, but most of what Musk said was bearish news for Tesla for the short term. That Tesla has hardships coming out for the interest rate environment, this high interest rate environment, and things like that. So it is what it is. I mean, Musk was being honest. I do appreciate him for his honesty, but I personally think that the whole event wasn't really organized the best. I just think that this event was kind of rushed and it just felt very disorganized. The event started with Musk just reading off a paper to give a speech, and then they just answered questions, and Musk didn't seem prepared to answer most of the questions. He just said he was unsure about a lot of questions, and we'd have to wait and see. And then he gave he gave answers that could have been answered, in my opinion, very differently. He could have tried to at least remain as optimistic as possible and tried to avoid as much fear to be incited. But hey, I mean, he did what he had to do. So I still appreciate the fact that he was being honest. Anyways, that's just my honest view, right? People have the rights to have opinions, and it is what it is. Now, if things couldn't get worse, I want to remind you all and prepare you for something else. We have initial jobless claims tomorrow, an hour before the market opens. And then at noon, we have Jerome Powell giving a speech. So is he going to cause even more downside for Tesla? Is it going to cause more downside for the markets? It's a possibility. Could he cause the market to pump? Who knows? But there is a risk of him being more hawkish, saying the fact that retail sales went up, and there are many indicators that suggest there could be another surge in inflation. So, what do I have to say about Tesla? Here's the news, guys. Looking at Tesla, I just wanted to call out, some very important levels. Tesla's free falling and it's just barely holding this 230 support. So if we lose 230, Tesla's going to come down to 227 to 228. That's where we have historical support. We've seen Tesla bounce off this like 4 times in the past. If we lose 227, it's coming down to 225. And if we lose that, it's going to flush down to 220. Okay, it's looking weak right now. It's just barely holding 230. Musk said bullish things for the long term, but for the short term, he was being very honest. We are entering a recessionary environment. We're in a high interest rate environment. We're seeing consumer demand slow down, and it's hurting Tesla. Just to be frank with you, it may lead to inventories going up. So Tesla may have to resort to more price cuts. Their margins may get slimmer. And the Cybertruck that's coming out, as awesome as it is, Musk said it's an amazing car, it has so much potential. He also warned us that it's not going to be profitable immediately, and that's completely normal. It may take well over 18 months before they end up announcing profitability. They also are going to take a while to start scaling it up because they have to improve the production mechanisms and things like that. So, honestly, guys, I mean, a lot of what Musk said was not really good news for the short term. He also mentioned that it's going to take years by the time he said it could take years by the time the Optimus robot is able to do ballet and start dancing, doing like really extremely complex functions. So he was being really honest. He was asked, "Can Tesla maintain 50% growth?" I mean, instead of saying that yes, Tesla is going to aim to do it and this and that, Elon Musk instead said that it's unrealistic to say that Tesla is going to maintain 50% growth because that's eventually going to lead to unlimited deliveries, which is impossible. So, like I said, guys, I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say this, but Musk was just being brutally honest. He said some things which were he was just being super blunt and super real. So it is good, but in my opinion, there were better ways he could have answered a lot of questions to stop Tesla from crashing this hard, or at least try to give more optimistic views for the longer term. He could have also gave better answers when instead of saying he was unsure, he could have tried to just like kind of talk about something differently that's more optimistic instead of just saying he doesn't know and then just going on rants about negative things, such as Tesla almost going bankrupt in the past in 2009. That's just my view. Maybe Musk is just very overworked. He just didn't prepare for this event, and he was very stressed out because of the high interest rate environment, which is going to get even worse as the Fed is likely going to raise rates more. So I know, guys, it's painful. I understand your pain. I understand your frustration, but it's the truth, right? It's the truth. I mean, at least Elon Musk was not BSing anything. He was just being honest. So there's pain coming. Okay, it's my honest truth. People are going to struggle. There's going to be a lot of pain in this economy, but the long term is still bright as long as we don't lose faith, as long as we stay together. And eventually, inflation will come back down. It's going to take a while, it may take years by the time we reach a 2% inflation rate again, at least for all items on average and also for core. But just remain optimistic, guys. Don't let all this negativity get the best of you. Elon Musk said the truth, and there could be more downside for Tesla as a result. For resistance, watch 232 for Tesla, 235, and then 237.5, followed by 240. But so far, Tesla's looking weaker, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. As for SPY and the QQQ, I mean, they're very flat now. They started to drop after Tesla dropped. SPY is barely at 430. If this thing continues sinking, there is a risk of SPY coming down to 427. If that fails us, we could see this thing start sinking towards 425 all over again. That's the more bearish case. If you want to turn bullish, you want to see this thing hold above 430 and then retest 432.5, then 433. So far, SPY is a little bit weaker thanks to Tesla, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, it's going to depend whether we get some kind of bounce or not. Could depend on Jerome Powell. What does Jerome Powell end up saying? And also initial jobless claims in the morning. So whatever happens, the market could be a little slow approaching noon, but then when Powell gives his speech and opens his mouth, everything could change. So just be very, very careful. The QQQ, with Tesla dropping, this could slow the QQQ down. So watch 362 as critical support. If we lose that, we're going to likely come down towards 359. And then below that, we have 355 that could come. Now for resistance, watch 365. We will see which way this goes. It is looking more bearish on the chart so far, so we will see. But just know that Tesla may not positively contribute to this. It may do the opposite. So it is what it is. And then for Aapl and Nvda, I'm just going to be very quick. Aapl, we're looking a bit more bearish. We could see this thing retest 174.8. If we lose that, 172.5 is a real possibility. I would not rule that out. We have an imbalance down here too, towards 173.5. We also have a head and shoulders on Aapl, so that could lead to more downside. For resistance, watch 176.5. If Aapl breaks above that, we could try to push back up to 177. But with this head and shoulders, we are looking a bit more bearish. And last but not least, Nvidia is continuing to sink. It's barely holding 420. If we lose it, watch 418, then 416. I believe we have 416 as support. If we lose 416, 410 is going to be on the table. For resistance, watch 425. And also 420, because we're currently just under 420, so we'll see if we can get above that. Nvidia still looks bearish on the 4-hour though, so just be very careful, and we'll see what Jerome Powell says. Anyways, that's my very quick update for today. It is what it is, guys. Tesla can't always be perfect. The long term is still very bright for this company, and we're going to get another very good buying opportunity, most likely for the long term, and it's not financial advice. All right, so hopefully this video was not 20 minutes long. Hopefully it wasn't way too long. Sorry about that, guys. There's so much to talk about. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and then get ready for Jerome Powell's speech and also Tesla's reaction and the market's reaction going into tomorrow. All right, so good night, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.